CFAX 1070.
Being in the medical profession is a tough one for anybody, but I got to tell you something. The day of the doctor that makes a house call and the day of doctors that are around in offices is starting to diminish. We know the house calls are gone, and unless they're very, very special circumstances, but being a doctor in the province of British Columbia is getting tougher every year. Not just the fact that doctors don't want to be in the profession, well, they do, but they don't want to get into private practice because they say it's better if I go in another area. Because private practices are fraught with all kinds of problems. The overhead, the number of patients you got to handle, and there is a shortage of doctors in British Columbia. We need about 450 doctors a year to keep pace with what they call a current demand, and some doctors are even having trouble trying to sell their practices because nobody wants to buy them. Why is this happening? Let's find out more as we talk to Dr. Bill Cavers. Dr. Cavers is the president of the Doctors of BC, and he's joining us on the phone line today to talk about this dilemma. I got about 8 minutes with him, and so let's try to make the best use we possibly can of our time. So, Dr. Cavers, welcome to the program, and thank you for joining us on CFAX 1070.
Thank you for the interest, Terry.
Dr. Cavers, what's going on here?
So we have a relative shortage of doctors. As you just mentioned, we require about 450 doctors, new doctors per year to keep up with the status quo, the need we have right now.
Yes.
And we're graduating 288 graduates per year from the medical schools.
And are they all staying here?
No, these medical graduates are going into specialties and going into family practice. Some stay in BC and some go elsewhere. We have been relying on international medical graduates for years, but the supply of international medical graduates has been diminishing significantly over the last few years.
There's been a story out there for quite some time that you get doctors that are driving cabs in Alberta or driving cabs in BC or doing some other job that they're overqualified for, but they can't get onto the list here to become a doctor in British Columbia. Does that still happen?
It does. The College of Physicians and Surgeons has a mandate to ensure that a foreign medical graduate is able to provide the same standard of care as a Canadian graduate.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a bottleneck, and there are discussions going on about whether we need to sort of open up the process a bit more. Right now, only about 25%, only 25 positions can be mentored by the College of Physicians and Surgeons every year. And if you take our graduates of 288 and add 25, it's nowhere near the 450.
Are we looking here at a bureaucratic situation, or are we looking here at a concern for public safety?
Well, with the college, you're looking at a concern for public safety. But there are other avenues to try to get British Columbians access to primary care. Over the last few years, the Doctors of BC and the Ministry have been working very collaboratively together on committees and trying to change the face of primary care. I'm happy to tell you that 10 years ago, a dismal 23% of graduates chose family practice, and that's up to 34% now. It's not a fix. So going into the future, the Ministry, the health authorities, and the Doctors of BC have embarked upon a program called A GP for Me. And that is an ambitious program to try to give access to British Columbians to primary care wherever they are in the province.
The story of the doctor here on the island that has been trying to sell his practice, and he can't get any buyers, and he's advertised all over the world to get somebody to pick it up because he wants to, move on and do other things and retire possibly. But the point is this. Is this becoming a more common story? And tell me about your concern as a medical practitioner in BC.
That has been a very common situation for many years, and it's not restricted to Victoria. Unfortunately, it's not even restricted to British Columbia. It's Canada-wide,
right.
North America-wide, right. And it's around the world. We do not have enough practitioners right now. So what we have is what I call the perfect storm. We have an aging population, and as we age, we statistically are more likely to get more illnesses and become sicker. At the same time, the very people that are aging are physicians themselves. 40% of the province's physicians are over age 55, and about 20% of BC's family doctors are indicating they're planning on either cutting back or retiring in the next 2 years.
Is the private practice issue a question of money, or is it a question of just a major overload of problems involved, including the overhead and the hiring and the files, and the list goes on and on and on?
The viewpoints vary on that. Certainly, we do know that the younger generation does not want to work the same number of hours as an older guy like myself.
Yep.
They want to have more of a work-life balance, and they want to be more active in their families' upbringing, and I think that's a healthy approach, but it means we're going to have more physician graduates to cover that. So inherent in that is that if you go into a private practice, you take on the ongoing 24/7 responsibility of managing your office, having patients. If you go away, you have to have somebody cover your patients. If your receptionist is sick, you have to make some arrangements. So, yes, many new graduates are choosing instead to work in already established clinics where they can do certain hours and then go home to their families.
Is the money bigger?
I wouldn't say the money's bigger. The money varies depending on where you are and what you're doing. It's more of a lifestyle decision.
A general practitioner today, that you walk into the office and you get, if you're lucky, 10 minutes with the doctor and they take a look at you and take a look at whatever you're complaining about. What does that doctor actually take home?
Well, it'll vary depending upon the number of hours the person puts in. The overheads are about 45%, and usually a family doctor will gross about $170,000 to maybe $225,000.
That's the gross over the year. But does that after all expenses?
No.
No, that's what I'm going to say. So here's the other thing: how much does the government actually pay for that call?
The average per office visit is approximately $33.
Good heavens, that doesn't cover anything. I mean, it covers a part of it, but my gosh, you know, when you have to pay a registered nurse or certainly somebody else who's in the practice with you plus your overhead, $33 is nothing. So the question is, if we threw more money into it, which they say they don't have for health care, what are we dealing with here? Is that going to be an answer? Would more people say, all right, I'll take that deal, or should the government actually turn around and guarantee a salary like they do in England?
I don't think money is the issue, actually. I think it's the organization, it's the responsibility. And I just want to be a bit inflammatory here and throw in the fact that Canada, in the OECD countries, has one of the highest per capita costs of health care and some of the lowest outcomes.
That's interesting.
So what we need to do is take a look at how we're organizing care and learn to work better and learn to work more effectively. Yeah. I don't have to do all things for all my patients all the time. I need to be able to work in teams within our scopes of practice and be able to share a care plan so that I know what's being done and what's being said to the patient I don't have to do it again.
Yeah, good point. Now, here's the other thing, too, before we let you go on that, and that is when we take a look at this problem. I know people who tell me that they've been trying to get a family physician for ages, and they just are not taking any more patients. Is that a serious problem here?
So thank you for leading that just before I go, because the GP for Me initiative is being delivered by the different community organizations of GPs called divisions. Yep. And I would say that if you watch and stand by, I'll be back on the program in a year or two, and I think there's going to be major changes. White Rock South Surrey Division right now has been able to take their population and has been able to attach every person to a family doctor in their community, and we hope to have similar success stories around the province.
Okay, closing advice.
Stay tuned, and we're continuing to work. It's a big knot to approach. It's a Gordian knot, but I have to tell you, we are looking at ways of cooperating with the health authorities and ministry and also working together with the other health professionals. And the Doctors of BC is happy to take a leadership position.
Dr. Cavers, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, and we hope that this gets cleared up.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Dr. Bill Cavers, President of the Doctors of BC. Before we get to the break here at 5 o'clock, by the way, we're back with Phil Edmonds.